He got in line with his tray and grabbed a slice of pizza, 2 cookies, and a can of Pepsi. He sat down at the first table with an empty chair, all the while paying close attention to the clock on the wall next to the door. They were at 11:10 already. He spent the next 5 minutes gobbling down his food and drink and running some questions through his mind that he wanted to ask the recruiter. What rank would he be just starting out? What would his pay be? Would he be able to do some type of mechanics work? Would he be able to go to Iraq and fight? How long would it be before he could leave for basic training? He finished up eating, brought it straight to the other end of the counter, and walked to the study hall where the recruiters were set up and talking to other students that were interested in military careers. There were tables set up for Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. Aaron made his way through the line of students to the table set up for the Army recruiters and waited in line with 4 students in front of him. There was only 2 Army recruiters, so he knew he wasn't going to have much time to talk to the recruiter. He waited patiently as the line in front of him slowly disappeared, and he was next to see the recruiter. When the student stood up to shake the recruiter's hand and leave, Aaron read the nameplate on the table as he walked towards the recruiter. Sergeant Watkins is what it read in big gold letters with a black background. The recruiter held out his hand to greet Aaron as he approached. Aaron shook the man's hand in envy as he eyed the sergeant's uniform. He spent the next 15 minutes talking to Sergeant Watkins and getting all the information he could before accepting the recruiter's business card and making an appointment to meet with him at his office the following week to enlist. Aaron left the recruiter's table with a smile on his face and the feel of more pride in his heart for his country than he had when he had first sat down to talk to the recruiter. Amazing, he thought, what 15 minutes of talking about my future in the military could do to my pride. Aaron spent the next week looking information up on the internet about the career fields, medical and dental benefits. Aaron spent the next week looking information up on the internet about the career fields, medical and dental benefits, and the GI Bill. He talked things over with his mother about signing up for the Army so that she would be prepared. She took the news hard, but she knew how much this is what he wanted to do. She had raised him to do what he believed was right, even if it meant sacrifice. She couldn't tell him that she didn't want him to go because it would be contradicting what she had taught him. Tuesday morning, Aaron woke up, showered, got dressed, and got himself to school. He spent the day looking anxiously at the clock. This was the day he had been waiting for a week. His appointment with Sergeant Watkins was at 3:30. When the last bell rang for the day, Aaron hurried to his locker to receive his jacket and then headed to the Army recruiting office. He pulled into the parking lot and looked at the clock on the car stereo. 3:15. I'm 15 minutes early, he said to himself. I'll go in and wait in the lobby. I'm sure he won't mind if I'm a little early. Stepping out of his car, he looked up just in time to see an Army Humvee driving by. He stared at the big vehicle in awe. Hopefully soon I'll be working on vehicles like that one, he muttered into the cold air. He turned back around after the vehicle was out of sight, locked his car door, and closed it hard. The weather today was 22 degrees and the wind had a sharp bite to it. Aaron placed his hands in his pocket to protect them from the cold, tilted his head down against the wind, and began walking across the snow-packed parking lot to the recruiting office entrance. When he walked through the door, he looked to the left at the secretary behind the desk. Her name tag read Helen in small black letters with a brass-colored background and was pinned to her suit jacket just above her left breast. She was an older woman, probably in her late 40s or early 50s, a little on the heavy side, with brown curly hair that came down to her shoulders, and wore wide-rimmed glasses with a gold chain that dangled from the sides of her glasses and wrapped around the back of her neck. She had a mother's air about her and greeted him with a warm, welcoming smile. "May I help you?" she asked. Got my I have an appointment with Hi, I have an appointment with Sergeant Watkins at 3:30, he replied. And what is your name? He watched her as she opened a large black book that read appointment book on the cover and answered Aaron Johnson. She licked her thumbs and flipped the pages to the correct day and looked at 3:30. There you are, right there, she said, as she looked up and smiled at him. Have a seat in one of those chairs right there, and I'll let Sergeant Watkins know that you're here. Aaron turned around after thanking Helen and found a seat next to some Army brochures. He picked one up and began looking at it while Helen let Sergeant Watkins know that his 3:30 appointment was there. Mr. Johnson, Aaron looked up in surprise. He hadn't heard Sergeant Watkins approach him because he had been engrossed in the pamphlet that he was still holding in his hand. He folded the pamphlet back up, set it back in its place, and stood to shake Sergeant Watkins' hands. How are you doing today? Sergeant Watkins asked him. Fine, sir, Aaron replied. How are you? I'm doing great, thank you. I see you're ready to sign up today, huh? Yes, I am, Aaron replied. Well, follow me and we'll begin all the paperwork. Aaron did as Sergeant Watkins directed and fell in behind him. As he entered the office, he looked around at the certificates on the wall. The envy Aaron held for Sergeant Watkins began to grow to a minor case of idolism. He sat down in the chair in front of Sergeant Watkins' big desk and watched as the sergeant put together a new folder with Aaron's name on it. By 5:30, Sergeant Watkins had all of Aaron's enlistment forms filled out and had him set up for an appointment for a physical. Aaron left the recruiter's office pleased with what Sergeant Watkins had done for him. In 1 month, he would be on his way to getting his physical and being sworn into the United States Army. A smile spread across his face as he opened his car door and climbed inside. In just a few short months, he would be on his way to basic training. After talking more with his mother that night, Aaron went to sleep dreaming of his future in the United States military. Chapter 2, which is a short chapter. Very short chapter. Aaron suddenly found himself at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. He looked at the many other young men and women that, like himself, wanted to fight for their country. From the moment he got off the plane, he was to follow every order given to him. He was surprised to see that they had not waited until the following day to start demanding orders. He quickly realized his life was no longer his own, and he had rules that he had to follow that were made by other people. It's all worth it, he spoke softly to himself. This is my dream, and it's what I've wanted for a long time, even if I don't like being told what to do. After a couple of weeks day in, day out routine, things became much easier for him. Even taking orders and following them had become a thoughtless action. It seemed like time had flown by when finally his 9 weeks of basic training had ended and he was already in the 5th week of technical training school. I can't believe this time had gone by so quickly, Aaron said to his mother, who was on the other end of the phone. Only another 6 weeks of tech school, then I graduate and I can come home for 2 weeks. I'll be happy to see you again. I've missed you. He heard his mother begin to cry as she said the last 3 words. Mom, I know this is hard, but I have to tell you that after I had come home for 2 weeks, I leave to go to Fort Dix, New Jersey for 2.5 months of training to go to Iraq. He waited a few long seconds for his mother to absorb the news. Are you all right, Mom? He asked. I'm fine, son. I had a feeling that you were going to go over there from the beginning, so I've been preparing myself for it. This is what I've wanted to do, Mom, and it makes me happy, he said to reassure his mother. I know. I want you to know that I'm very proud of you. The words she said to him sank deep inside and brought a smile to his face. I have to go now, Mom. I'll see you in 6 weeks. I love you. I love you too, son. Goodbye. Aaron hung the phone up and stood motionless as he thought about the words his mother had said to him as they penetrated deep. I'm proud of you. Her voice saying those words echoed in his head. He smiled at the phone, then turned and walked away. Fort Dix, New Jersey was an exciting place for Aaron as he learned many ins and outs of what would take place in Iraq. It could only partially prepare him for the real thing, and he realized this from the beginning. He had a good visit when he went home for 2 weeks, but he knew he made the right decision by joining the army when he had seen some of his friends still hanging around home and working at dead-end jobs, going nowhere with their lives. It made him feel good knowing that what he was doing was important to many lives. Now he had to finish his training at Fort Dix so that he could move on to Kuwait and then Iraq, where he will be fighting for what he believes in. That's first and second chapter right there. And I'll probably have time tomorrow to start in on the third chapter, and I don't know how many other ones, or I don't know how far I'll be able to get tomorrow with that chapter. But I hope you're enjoying it so far. It only gets better.